life. Give me a break, need another life. Oh, need another life, another life. Give me a break, need another life.
What was once a premier top four clash has turned into title challenges versus a team just trying to find itself. Live from the Emirates, Arsenal take on Manchester United. Good evening everyone, welcome to the Emirates Stadium, and I've got to be honest, it's quite a weird feeling. We're here for Arsenal versus Manchester United today. And it's not really the coming home feeling. That'll probably be later on in the season when Arsenal take on United at Old Trafford. But it is still a bit of an odd feeling. You know, it's been a long time since I was last with association with the club. There are a few old friends and teammates of mine, but relatively, it's a lot is new and a lot has changed. Not so which of United's fortunes, really. Now under Ruben Almiron, after the unfortunate really collapse of the club under Erik ten Hag this season, it all started so well, didn't it? With a 1-0 win over Fulham and the new signing Joshua Zirkzee scoring. But since then, it's been a bit of a downward spiral and it just hasn't seemed to have abated, even under Ruud van Nistelrooy or Ruben Almiron. And what a tough early task he's got today, taking on this Arsenal side. They have been an absolute juggernaut as of late, scoring 3 goals or more in the last few matches now. It's going to be a tough task tonight for my old team, I can tell you that. Darren Rise in goal. It's a bit of a switch around in the central defence as Calvori and Timber replace Saliba and Gabriel. It's the Bukayo Saka and the Trossard either side of Alexander Isak, but the most important man today is a debut for Jack Henry Francis, who returned from his loan in midweek. For United, Andre Onana is of course in goal. It's a back four with Maguire playing a bit of right back role, I think, according to that, or left back role with Luke Shaw out and Mazraoui on the other side. It's Bruno Fernandes in the midfield, but the front three is of particular interest. It's Anthony and Marcus Rashford with another returnee to the club and a very bizarre signing, but let's see if it works out. Memphis Depay returns to give his second United another go around, and it all looked to be falling into place under Erik ten Hag with that as well. But with all these new signings, not much has changed, and that could be a multitude of reasons, for many reasons. In fact, it's not, like I've said, it's not just Erik ten Hag. It's probably not just the players. It's really just the all-round function of the club at the moment. You could probably put that down to transition of a new ownership structure, let's say. It's not new owners, really. It's a new structure with Sir Jim Ratcliffe really putting on the... Oh! And that was Jack Henry Francis up front for getting a shot off and surprising Onana. And, the youngster, he's back from his loan. I'm not sure where he was exactly. But, they may not be the same they once was, but a goal against Manchester United, well, that could be a real boost for your career, especially when you've just been on loan. But yeah, just so much turnaround at the club. It's a far cry from the one I left behind, and I don't mean that in a bad sense. It's just really different. New goalkeeper, new defenders, a couple of, like I said, old teammates and friends. Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, to name a couple. But really, it's just all new, and it's just really sad in a way that it's just not going well. We hope things turn around soon. Ruben Almiron has been known to implement a very good system at Sporting Lisbon. It didn't really work out that well for him in the Champions League, unfortunately. Sporting Lisbon have been struggling there as of late. But I do believe they're winning the Portuguese league, so Almiron is definitely high standard, that's for sure, as we take a look towards the top of the table. And of course, it's the same as it's always been. The front three are getting away now, with Spurs being about 8 points behind Arsenal in fourth there. The top three are starting to get away, with Manchester City being unbeaten and Newcastle and Arsenal only losing once apiece. In fact, I don't think even Newcastle have even lost yet. So that would be a turn up for the books. And here's Anthony with a looping shot, and he made David De Gea think about that. I will try to be as impartial as possible. That is my kind of prerogative, if you like, to do that. But it has been glorious to watch Arsenal this season. There's no denying that. The football, around the football they've played, has been absolutely just a joy to watch. And you've got to kind of feel sorry for United in all this transition and all this kind of new kind of feeling they're at, and then coming up against a juggernaut like Arsenal at the moment. It's not how the mighty have fallen for Manchester United. It never will be that. Manchester United is still an all-star institution. It's not just a football club. For some of us, it's a way of life. It certainly was for me back in the day, and it still is. Yeah, this is definitely a far different side than the one I left behind, and not just on the pitch either. In the ownership, in the board, in the ownership, in everything. But like we said, it's only a minority stake by Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and it is the football operations that Ineos control. But unfortunately, so far, it's not really resulted in much difference from before. And it's strange that Erik ten Hag got as much backing as he did, only to be sacked about 2 or 3 months later. It's kind of unheard of. We've known Chelsea to do that in the past. I think it was, Roberto Di Matteo, was it? That came to Chelsea, won the Champions League, and then was sacked in the first 3 months of the Premier League, following Premier League season starting. So it does happen, just not at Manchester United. But it's been over a decade now since the great Sir Alex Ferguson left the club, and it's probably a far cry from the one he left behind too. Again, not just on the pitch. Matty Diligent with the header, and it's gone into the ground. So Ruben Almiron has got a lot of work to do. None of these players are his signings, of course. We wonder whether there'll be any signings made in January at all, with all the summer spending they've done. We didn't see a big spend like United since probably, I think it was probably the first season under Louis van Gaal, when Angelo Di Maria and such came in. So it's been a while since we've seen such big spending, but it was looking good under Erik ten Hag for the first season. And then it all kind of went wrong. Di Maria was then jumped ship to Paris Saint-Germain, as we know. It was very well documented in that instance. But apart from that, it was looking good. Then Marcus Rashford exploded on the scene. And in my opinion, I don't think we've really reached the same heights since. And it's going to be a tough day because Bukayo Saka has just scored. And Andre Onana, once again, does not cover himself in glory, let's be honest. You can't do that. That's giving Bukayo Saka a lot too much space for me. And, for him and Isak, they're going to score those all day. It's not the greatest of headers by Martinez, to be honest. I think that was probably self-inflicted, really. Martinez just really gifting it to Saka, and, he doesn't need that kind of invitation to score twice, does he? He's going to make those all day. Arsenal up by a goal to 0. And for Manchester United, no matter who it is, it just doesn't seem to be getting any better right now. It's 17 minutes into this game, and United are already struggling. And it was pretty much self-inflicted, I've got to be honest. Well, we always say that Martinez, what he lacks in height, he makes up for within a heart-of-a-lion attitude, but there, it was a poor header, gifting Bukayo Saka the ball. And, like we said, doesn't need a second invitation to score those. And all eyes are on the debutant Jack Henry Francis tonight, making his debut against one of the biggest clubs in the world. You can make your mark here, you can make it anywhere. So we'll keep an eye on him. And Mikel Arteta is another one who is trusting his youngsters to do the job. Here's Alexander Isak, and it's a good save by Onana. And here's Trossard, and picked up by former captain Harry Maguire, who's rather fallen out of favour in the last year or so under Erik ten Hag, but hopefully, for him, for his sake, maybe Ruben Almiron can relight that spark that Maguire did make for himself, let's be honest. He came into Manchester United with such a fanfare at the time, because at the time Maguire was definitely one of England's best players. And, around the tournament, around that time. Memphis Depay, I didn't expect to see him back again. It just didn't work out for him the first time. And I think we'll be hard pressed to wonder if it will work out for him this time. He's already gone for a manager change. It's such a shock. Because normally, Manchester United, you normally give into an end of a season at the very least, depending on what league position you are. But Manchester United probably are not going to finish top 4 this season. I mean, the top 3 are far away from Spurs. So it would probably be on the brink for United to reach top 4 right now. And they need a win today. They need a win today in a big way. Oh, there's Luke Shaw. So Luke Shaw wasn't the one that was missing. So I think the lineup probably just got it wrong, and Harry Maguire's playing central defender with Lisandro Martinez. It looked like a 5-man at the start. Calvori with a free kick. Yuri and Timber. Calvori and Timber preferred to Saliba and Gabriel today. But to be honest, it doesn't matter who's out there for Arsenal. They're firing on all cylinders all the time. And there seems to be no sign of slowing down. Bukayo Saka's got the beating of Maguire. Here's Isak. The ball's run a little bit through. It's well gathered by Onoda, but Jack Henry Francis puts it wide. Oh, should he have scored there, do you think? Well, it could be a bit of jitters for Jack Henry Francis, but I don't think there's a lot more he could have done out of there. Onana did make himself big, let's be honest. I think my only criticism of Onana would be he makes the good saves, but he doesn't make them often enough. And I think that's really put paid to United's season, honestly. Marcus Rashford. Now Shaw. Luke Shaw bombing forward. He likes to do that. Calvori cuts him out. Odegaard just giving it to Mazraoui. And Manchester United, well, they were in the running for Manuel Ugarte, but it didn't happen. And maybe that was the start of a downfall at United, really, because Ugarte definitely would have turned things around, and Odegaard had made absolute mincemeat of Maguire. And now Arsenal come forward again. Here's Henry Francis, and he's looking at this. He's looking up at the stars tonight, it looks like, and he wants his name up there, scoring against United. You've got to admire the youngster. No fear. And a good second attempt. Much better than the first. And on with a resulting goal kick. A good kick by Onana. Can Anthony get there? Yes, he can. He's met up with Keywall, but he's gone past him. Mazraoui. Bruno Fernandes. Memphis. Here comes Depay, and a good save by Riot. A good clearance by Ben White as well. That's good cover by Maguire. You saw that developing. Christian Eriksen. Fun fact, Christian Eriksen was actually part of one of Sir Alex Ferguson's sides a long, long time ago. Christian Eriksen started there. But back then, he was up against the likes of Giggs and others in the midfield. And here's Odegaard. Yeah, the midfielders that Christian Eriksen were fighting for places for, Scholes, Giggs and the like. It's going to be very hard for anyone to get into Ferguson's teams. You had to earn it back then, because Scholes and Giggs, legends for a reason. Declan Rice with the resulting corner here. But it's nice to see Eriksen back here. Unfortunately, it's not really resulted in much, although he is now an EFL and FA Cup winner, thanks to Erik ten Hag. Here's Isak, and here is Saka, and here is Jack Henry Francis again. And he's up for this. This boy could be something. Mikel Arteta, another young player coming through and into the senior squad by Mikel Arteta. He's definitely trusting his youngsters, isn't he? It worked for Alex Ferguson. I think in a lot of cases it probably worked for Arsene Wenger as well. Here's Isak, tackled by De Legit. Down comes Henry Francis, blocked by Martinez, and Maguire gives it up. The referee was looking for, I think it was a handball against Arsenal. Play went on, and here's Mazraoui. Anthony's made a good run to his left, but he doesn't see it. And Keywall is able to get back there. Well, Keywall's naturally a left back, but I think he has the physique of a central defender, if I'm honest. And he had a Trossard. Oh, that wasn't far away. That was not far away at all. And Onana, he just stood there. And that was not too far away at all. Arsenal just intent. It's back in my day. No, I'm kidding. But it was certainly a much more intense fixture a long time ago. But today, the golfing class is obvious. The league table tells that story. It really does. And I just hope that, and I think a lot of Manchester United fans hope that something will 1 point go right for them. Because this season has been another write-off as far as the league is concerned. Of course, these two will face each other again in the FA Cup when the third round starts next month, I believe. Because we are in December now. And by Trossard, Isak! And I think Onana just made himself big enough to put the shot off. I believe that is Will Fish in conversation with Ruben Almiron there. Or is it Hoojland? I think it might be Hoojland actually. Hoojland scored in the Community Shield. Like we said, Manchester United all started so well. Beating City in the Community Shield. Just coming off the FA Cup win, of course. 1-0 win against Fulham, I think. Joshua Zirkzee, the new signing. And then it's all just gone really downhill from there. It's pretty much like the unfortunate situation that David Moyes found himself in with his first year in charge. The fall was greater than anyone expected. I don't personally think that was really much to do with David Moyes. It was just transitioning to a brand new era, really. At that point, Ferguson had been at the club for well over 20 years. It was always going to be difficult for the first man that replaced him. And it's just unfortunate that David Moyes found himself in that situation. I think if he was given another shot now, it might have been a bit different. Of course, David Moyes has won the Europa Conference League with West Ham. He won that last season, I think. And of course, David Moyes did win the Community Shield in his first season, so he knew how to win stuff. He just didn't get the players. You can argue a lot of that squad was aging. I was part of that. Here's Mazraoui. United do have some intent here. Oh, that's a great save by David Raya again. And Memphis Depay, not a bad strike at all, but David Raya equal to it, as you would expect. And now Anthony will take the resulting corner. Put away by Ben White. And that'll probably be the final action of the half. It is. And, Arsenal have been on top of United in this first half. David Raya has kept his team ahead as well. But the honourable mention doesn't go to Bukayo Saka because we expect him to score. Jack Henry Francis has done a very admirable job on his debut. Arsenal 1, United 0. Welcome back to the Emirates for the first Premier League clash of the season between Arsenal and Manchester United, and it is all going Arsenal's way, as you would probably expect. It's not been the route that a lot of people probably would have expected, however, so credit United's players for that. But we can all know Arsenal can turn it up a gear at a moment's notice, and it can be sometimes a blur that you won't even see it. So United need to be aware of that. Tackled by Luke Shaw, but he's poor in possession. And now Bukayo Saka has a beat of a pace, as you'd probably expect, to be fair. Oh, he's nutmegged it. Luke Shaw just about recovering from there. And White trying to get the ball off Rashford. Oh, it's brought back for a foul. And speaking of Fulham, like we did earlier in the season, it's another bit of one of the lesser London derbies. Craven Cottage. That'll be Fulham against Arsenal. And Anthony is actually making way for Jadon Sancho, who decided to stay after Ten Hag's sacking. And, well, we all know the fallout between those two. And, well, I don't think no matter what the situation would have been, it was probably not going to improve the morale, to be honest. I think the way United handled it probably could have been better when it comes to Ten Hag, really, because they gave him all the backing. And they've really just showed that the new ownership probably didn't believe in him wholeheartedly in the first place. Saka. Henry Francis, a lot of space. He scored it! Jack Henry Francis, the debutant, has a goal against United on his record. Well, he's looked to do that all game, to be fair, hasn't he? Another youngster explodes off the scene. Jack Henry Francis with his first ever Arsenal goal. Look how much space De Ligt gave him. And he made good on that opportunity. What a goal. Right where Onana can't reach. Beautifully taken by the youngster. Well, Arsenal's present could be full of trophies if the experts are right. But it looks like their future could be worth something as well. Another young player having a great debut time of it. Arsenal 2, United 0. Another goal from a very unlikely source. But it's another one that Mikel Arteta will take huge credit for. Here is Rashford. And he intercepted by Ben White. And it's been pretty poor for United in possession at times. Now here's Saka. And Martinez makes a good challenge there. Well, next for Manchester United, a visit of Nottingham Forest. It's Fernandes, and he's found Sancho. And he's found Memphis. Poor effort. Probably should have taken more of a touch in, maybe. I mean, he was pressured here by Calvori, I think. So maybe that counted for something.
This is a message for Tyler Berry. That's Tyler Berry. Can you please make yourself known to the nearest steward? Thank you.
He won, and Henry Francis did brilliantly there. Declan Rice to Isak, and more pretty play from Arsenal. Leandro Trossard was the save out of Onana. Saka's going to get it, and he's going to lose it sadly. More pretty and beautiful play from Arsenal. Here's Fernandes to Memphis. Luke Shaw. Christian Eriksen. Sancho. And finally intercepted by Ben White. And off come Arsenal again. Now Odegaard. Well done there by Fernandes, to be fair. Mazawi. Mazawi really has been one of the standouts in a pretty below par season for United. There'll be obvious question marks over the fitness of Matthijs de Ligt, but he's done really well to get a run in as well. Mazraoui's actually done for the evening. And I believe, I'm not sure who that is coming on. It's Garnacho. Mazraoui's usually a striker, so defender. So is Garnacho playing right back? Interesting decision there by Almiron, I guess. We'll see how that works out. Of course, you do have Sancho on one of the wings down there already. There's Trossard. Well, Sancho was pretty much a shoo-in to go on loan at Chelsea because Erik Ten Hag was retained. But he didn't. So either he knew something the rest of us didn't, or just really wanted to make it work somehow. Rice. Unfortunately, like we said, it hasn't really improved the situation at United that much. It's going to take more than retaining players who would have been out of a door to turn this situation around. Because United, it's pretty dire by their standards. Got to be honest, really. He's taken there by Saka. Maguire holds off Odegaard. And here is Onana. Ball by Rashford, but it's a foul apparently. Or is it offside? It's actually offside against Rashford. Well, you do have to feel for Marcus Rashford. Criticism has followed him, and it just will not go away for Marcus Rashford, and it's probably really putting him down, really, and it's really showing on the pitch at times. The effort just hasn't really been there, and it's been very highlighted by Ruben Almiron, really, and that can't be good. I, for one, and I wouldn't, well, I'd probably never really tell him this, but if it was me, I think the best thing for Rashford would probably be to get out of this situation right now, because it's just not working for Rashford at the moment. He seems to be heavily criticised by fans, mostly the social media crowd, if you believe it. But you can never really... The social media crowd can be a bit more outspoken than, say, the match-going fans, so to speak. But even the match-goers have kind of spoken at Marcus Rashford in a criticism sense, and maybe the way forward for him is probably to just get out of this environment, because it's not improving under United, and Almiron is... who knows what he's going to do. Almiron's been very animated in his first few games, but it is still a finding out process for him as well. I think for Marcus Rashford, maybe a new start's what's required to get his career back on track. It does often work sometimes. And for Rashford, he's been under the microscope for so long, for various good and bad reasons, maybe you could argue. Maybe he needs a fresh start from all that. We'll see. Cross over the ball in. Isak, header, 3-0. And Arsenal are running rampant against Manchester United. And it's another goal for Alexander Isak. He cannot stop scoring. And if he look how easy Trossard found it. He found it so easy. He just leisurely crossed it in to Isak. Isak didn't have to leave the ground. And well, it's just Manchester United this season. It's really just the epitome of it. Arsenal 3, United 0. No, there just seems no real intent from United. They don't look like scoring. They look like conceding more, if I'm quite honest. Eriksen to Saka, and he puts it out for a throw. Memphis. Depay is repeating of Ben White here. Will Depay put it in? Yes, he will. And it's in towards and Paul Rashford. Well, we were just speaking about him earlier, and that's just really Marcus Rashford at the moment. He looks so lost at times. He does. And a lot of people will say, well, you play at Manchester United, you give 100%. I totally know that. I was part of that culture. But, oh boy. Henry Francis to Trossard. And it gets worse. Saka. And, well, Arsenal are just all over them at the moment. And here is Marcus Rashford. Waiting for a player in support. He's finally found it in Memphis, but it's not going forward, it's just going to the side. But finally, here comes Marcus Rashford, and it's just not there, is it? Just think, 2 or 3 seasons ago, Marcus Rashford would have banged that in, no problem. These days, I think I think something about all this turnaround that United have had is just kind of got to him. Because where was that player that exploded onto the scene under Louis van Gaal and scored 30 or plus goals a few seasons later? And ever since Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's very unfortunate sacking, in my view. Oh, David Raya, what a save. And that was a better attempt from Marcus Rashford. That header was given some force. Great save by David Raya. And Arsenal come away now. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer for me, just so unfairly sacked, really. The results were not great. They probably warranted it somewhat, but Ole was just going places, and that's my opinion of it. Odegaard, and in towards Saka, and it's a tap in, it's 4-0, it's game over. It was game over a long time ago. Arsenal continued a magnificent run of scoring 3 or more in multiple matches this season. They've gone from questions over whether they could score enough after last season to scoring juggernauts, and no one's stopping them. Arteta has flicked a switch, and it has absolutely worked. And we've said it before, and we'll say it again. The signing of Alexander Isak really has been the difference maker. And I think by the end of the season, even if City don't lose for the rest of it, and Newcastle somehow finish ahead, it'll be late substitutions, and Marcus Rashford has scored. It doesn't mean much of anything, but maybe to Marcus Rashford that'll mean something. It's a good strike, to be fair. That's a bit better from Marcus Rashford. That's more like it. And I, for one, will be very happy for him, because that was a well-taken shot under a multitude of criticism, as we said earlier. And I would like to think that that might spur him on a bit. And Ruben Almiron, very limited in his celebration. It's nothing more but a consolation. But to Marcus Rashford, that'll probably mean the world, honestly. Couple of substitutions, I think. I think Martinelli has come on for Leo Trossard. And I think there was another one. I think it's Kieran Tierney that's come on for Kiwior. And Jack Henry Francis's magnificent debut has come to an end. And it's one Arsenal for another as Lewis Skelly comes on. And now here come Arsenal again. Oh, and Isak, he's at the post. Oh, what a strike. Onana was nowhere. And that just sums up United this evening and pretty much for this season. 5 minutes about it on time. There could be 10, 15, Arsenal would still win. They've been on top of United all game long. As much as that hurts to say, it really is the truth. You can't argue with the facts. Arsenal are just better in this era of the Manchester United versus Arsenal, which had a lot of classics in it. Some that I were a part of. But today, the golf in class and just out and out everything really has told it. The league table tells the entire story when you look at it. And it just seems no sign of abating for Manchester United. It is going to take a lot more than a few months for Ruben Almiron to sort this lot out. Because right now, United look so lost. They don't look like they know where they are and where they're going sometimes. It's hard to tell. Martinelli scrapes the top of the net. It's game over. Arsenal win by a convincing 4-1. It never looked in doubt. For the moment, Saka scored his first of the night. And I think it was the only goal of the night. United just didn't look anywhere. They couldn't compete with them. Because Arsenal, to be fair, have been the juggernauts this season. It was 2 for Bukayo Saka, 1 for Isak. And a memorable debut goal for the man of the moment, Jack Henry Francis. And will we remember that name in the future? Time will tell, but today it's the win that counts. Arsenal 4, United 1. So let's have a look at the results and what that means for the Premier League table. I believe we're looking at the wrong position. Mind you, we've got a few days to catch up on, so we'll start. Oh, Ruud van Nistelrooy's last game was a win against Everton by 3-1 actually. And Spurs beat Fulham to continue their chase towards the top 4. Manchester City won again, 2-0 against Liverpool in an absolutely classic match, vital match when you think about it. Ipswich then beat Crystal Palace by 2-1. Ruvan Nistelrooy could be coming the... no, that's Ipswich, not somewhere else. I think Leicester was in talk there, but that's been only a rumour so far. Newcastle then lost to Liverpool, which was vital for Arsenal to go into second. City then drew against Nottingham Forest. Chelsea beat Southampton. Everton drew with Wolves. Fulham beat Brighton. Bournemouth beat Brighton. Bournemouth then lost to Spurs as they won again. And then Brentford beat Villa. No, they didn't. They drew, sorry, with a goal-to draw. So Manchester City's lead at the top is now down to 1, with Arsenal right on their heels now. And Newcastle United just 2 points down after losing to Liverpool. Spurs got to 4 with a magnificent rise perform for them. Liverpool, Brentford. Manchester United, despite the loss, stay in 7th ahead of Bournemouth, Chelsea and Leicester. Complete the top 10. Aston Villa, well, where is their season gone? Still only in 11th. Followed Brighton, West Ham, Nottingham Forest, Everton completing the safe zone with Crystal Palace. Absolutely, Ipswich have got out of the relegation zone for the first time this season, meaning Palace are back in, but only by a point. Wolves finally get some headway and get off the bottom, but only on goal difference ahead of Southampton.